Jake Thomas,
That's me.
the GOAT.
Oh, well, back at you.
Welcome to Freezin for a Reason, episode number 6. Maybe I'm excited about this conversation.
Me too, and I love the name of the show too.
That's it. We're raising money for something.
Ready to do it?
Let's go.
All right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let me just remind myself, don't put my right hand under the water and kill the microphone.
There you go.
So, dude, freezing for a reason. We were talking about this the other night. How'd you come up with that?
Came up on the spot on my first interview that I did with Brent Drake in the Cold Plunge, and he said, "Do you have a name for this podcast?" And I said, "Freezin for a Reason," because I like things that rhyme. The runner-up was Chill Chats.
Oh yeah. You said that the other night. I much prefer freezing for a reason. I think it's cool.
There's something
Really
to
cool.
it. There's something to it.
Yeah.
Well, man, it's a pleasure. I'm super excited to have you
too.
and just visit with you as a good friend and get to observe some of the crazy things that you do, experimenting with your body, and getting involved in a lot of things. So for our audience, I thought maybe we could start here because I know that you are just kind of one of those Renaissance men. You know, you try a lot of different things. You have your hand in a lot of different things. So what is it? How would you describe for our audience, what is it that you do?
Yeah, hand in a lot of things. That's a good way to say it. Curiosity is always at the forefront for me. Like, why do this? Why do that? Why go here? Why go there? A lot of it's been by necessity, out of just to survive. So for the longest time, I mean, even for now, I've always looked up to my brother, my younger brother, family man, wife, second baby on the way, super stable job. He's an amazing immigration attorney, and to me, he's just this pillar of stability, consistency, surety, and a lot of what I look up to and admire. And then I'm on the other side of that, where I haven't found that kind of just consistency in something that I'm passionate about, whether it's a career or people, an environment, something like that. So I've gone from lily pad to lily pad of employment, living situation, interest, love interests, not because I'm like loving the adventure, and that's an indirect benefit of it, sure, but to the outside observer, people like, dude, it's so awesome, like you're always bouncing around doing something else or doing something crazy. And I'm like, yeah, there's part of me that's the adrenaline junkie and the lover of spontaneity and adventure, but really because I'm looking for that thing that really, really makes me get up in the morning and that makes me go to sleep wholesome at night. And that's for the last almost 7 years now been coaching people. So kind of call myself, I guess, a transformative health coach, where it's taking people by way of better understanding the nutrition and how much that affects and influences their lives, and not just their physical lives, but their minds, right? Every aspect of the human body is involved with what we ingest. So like the single most effective thing we can do as human beings in regard to our health is controlling what we put into our mouths. And really having people, come around to understand that is a challenge, because we are conditioned by society, by popular culture, by family, by religion, of what to eat, what to abstain from, what to prioritize. And irrespective of our feelings with those things, we are loyal to our commitments with food, our convictions, right? We eat emotionally, we eat reactively. When we celebrate, when we mourn, everything in our lives is based around food and our obsession with it. Like, rather than eat to live, we freaking live to eat, man. For better or for worse, and then that's not me being a pleasure hound saying like it shouldn't be hedonic. No, there should be pleasure in eating. It's a joyful thing, especially sharing meals. We've shared meals before. It's a beautiful thing to break, I don't want to say break bread, but cut meat together. Right? And as modern humans, we've just grown, I think, very away from that. We have grown away from that and grown into this hedonic style of eating versus homeostatic or utilitarian forms of eating. And again, our feelings and emotions get in the way of that. So I help people find and understand that first, and then from there it unlocks the door to everything, opens their mind, helps them get over depression, anxiety, mental health issues, PTSD, veterans that I work with, getting through that, people that have all kinds of trauma, physical, emotional, sexual, psychological traumas that they've had to deal with in their past, improving their relationships with their friends, their families, their children even, and then people that are trying to shift their businesses as far as in going from brick and mortar spaces, get into e-commerce and be able to scale the digital world. Coaches that do the same, that have been training like I used to do, that were in person training clients in New York City but wanted to get into the virtual world. So I started off as a way of, this was my own recovery and kind of my own delve into getting my own self right, and then said, hey, I think this could be of value to other people. And I kind of think the whole thing of self-discovery and, self-actualization, to quote Maslow, is about selflessness, and it would go against kind of like the premise of doing that if you just kept it to yourself. So to me, I'm trying to just infect as many people as I can with that way of thinking and like betterment and improvement, and that's where I am today.
I love how you talked about cutting meat instead of breaking bread.
Yeah.
Man, so that makes me think of something else that's near and dear to my heart, and I think it is to yours, which is just the importance of community.
Mm.
What does that mean to you? I guess what has it meant to you to, be involved in community, give back, and sort of bring people along for the ride?
Oh, totally. You know, again, back to the cave of wonders, that self-discovery and self-actualization really is that you go into that deep sense of introspection, and you can't help but want to give it to other people and say like, dude, check out what I found. Like, you got to get down. And I kind of relate it to how I used to be when I consumed things that aren't necessarily good for you lots of times and for a long time. I'd always want my friends to get down with me.
Yeah.
I'd always want my friends to get high with me. I'd always want my friends to get drunk with me. I'd always want my friends to have a good time with me because I wanted to share that experience with people and have us
Right.
all enjoy this stuff.
Right.
I'm just doing that same thing, but in a healthier way. So doing that, I want people to like, I don't brag or say these things to brag about them to you. I don't eat these foods, post about them, talk about them, how I'm feeling, what I'm doing, where I'm going, who I'm with, to brag to you. I'm doing it to say, dude, do this, try this, go here, listen to her, watch this, because if it's affected and influenced me positively in the way that it has, if it does the same thing in an inkling of a way for you, man, you could really dig some of this shit. And if you think I'm full of fuck, whatever, like tell me to piss off, that's fine too. I'm still enjoying the ride. So for me, community is a massive part of that, to answer your question. That's how
Yeah.
we met.
Yeah.
Like minds,
That's right.
sharing similar interests, like as opposed to being, again, having bad habits and lifestyle choices that got me a lot of friends and had a lot of great times. Like now, everything that I do is building just this karmic credit of
Yes.
choices where self investment is never a bad thing. It always has compounding interest. So, like us having met at, Hack Your Health, you're owning and running Fjord, right? The tubs that we're in now with the American made chillers, like blue ocean fucking concept in the contrast therapy space. Amazing. And for anybody that doesn't know that, it's the only ones made in the States. It's a big deal. But that's how we met. I was there attending as an attendee, and you were there as a vendor and like promoting your product. We had similar interests. Great. We didn't meet at a bar. Nothing against that. We didn't meet doing bad things, doing illegal things. Nothing against that either, but I've just found different now lifestyle choices that have only helped me do things that I could only have imagined in a previous life that I wasn't able to do because of how I was, who I was, and how I was living. So community's big. Hanging out with these people, coming to the events like you have, everyone I met there, I was like, man, this is the most fun I've had on a sober Saturday, and God knows how long, with 50 or 100 or more so people that are sharing similar interests to that. I was like, this was a world I didn't think existed, and now that the fact that I see it, we went out the other night, same thing, like sitting down with multiple people drinking mocktails. I didn't know that was even a thing. I always thought I was going to be the weirdo black sheep with the mocktail everywhere I went forever, like I was in the past,
Yeah.
getting laughed at and snickered in the corner of people saying that. And then we go out the other night, and it's like there's four of us doing it. I was like,
Yeah.
what world am I living in now? But community, massive part of life.
There's some kind of blessing, sharing. So for me, the way that I'm wired with my personality type, if somebody asks me, what's the meaning of life or something, what is it to you?
Oh yeah.
Of course, being a Christian, I'd probably talk a little bit about my faith. But aside from that, dude, for me, it's defined by having incredible, memorable experiences, extraordinary experiences with people that I love.
Yeah.
And that is what makes it, for me, which I think is great. And you're one of those people that, like, right as soon as we got to meet each other and started hanging out, you were so easy to, get to know, to be your friend. You were super loyal and cool from the beginning. And I think, a big piece of it is the fact that we're on the same wavelength. Like, we're trying to live this life as best we can,
Yeah.
and help introduce other people to healthy ways of living, and that it can be fun and
Yeah.
social.
Very.
We've proven that. So.
Very. You do it. You do it regularly, monthly, basically, with these events. Like every time I come to one, I'm like, look at all these people, man. And like the age range is great. It's very wide scoped, from early 20s into people into their 50s. Even I'm like, this is awesome. Like clearly, there's a buzz about prioritizing this, and that there's a new frontier for many people. I mean, even myself, like it's still new to me in many ways. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what I knew from a past life and how I was still very normal and very what I was used to. So having found this, I'm still, this is great. Like every day is still another day of like curiosity and new exploration. And because of that, it's exciting. And I don't
Yeah.
think that it will ever get old. Like this is one of the things that doesn't get old. Hangovers get old.
Yeah.
You know, waking up and looking at your phone of like, "Ugh, I shouldn't have said that message." That gets old, man. Or the messages you receive in a bad way, like, dude, you realize you were like this the other night, and like you shouldn't have done that. I'm like, that
Yeah.
gets old. Like having close calls with the law gets old, man. But with this, it's like, dude, I never regret any of it. You know, every day I
Right.
wake up, I'm like, I'm so glad I went to that. I'm glad I went out the other night and met these people and hung out and we did this and did that. And like, that was an amazing, amazing night. None of us knew each other and we all had a blast. We were just talking and we found out how much we had in common, how many of the things we cared about. And none of it was, it wasn't negative. It wasn't deplorable. It was just like, man, these are good people talking about good things and just
Yeah.
wanting to enjoy and have a good time tonight. And we did. And it was just cool, man.
Yeah.
And this has been cool. And
Yeah.
pun intended.
Speaking of, I was talking to a friend earlier today and told him that I was going to be recording this podcast with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, man, normally I'm more worried about the guest, getting too cold and needing to get out early.
Mm-hmm.
I said, today with this guy, I'm kind of concerned he's going to outlast me in this cold plunge because
No way,
I'm over here
dude.
shivering right now already.
I think that's because I'm in the hot seat and I'm just trying to be tough and probably like locked in, you know.
Well, I doubt that. I've seen you off camera in here too.
We had a good one over the summer though. That was like 15 minutes in here.
Yeah.
Granted, it was like August, so it was super hot outside, so it was pretty nice in here. Now it's
Yeah.
late November. It's a little different.
It's nice. It's nice to be in here and push yourself.
Yeah, man,
That's one
for
thing
sure.
I kind of wanted to touch on with you is I do feel like part of your gifting and also just kind of maybe part of your brand is like this mental toughness and this ability to like push through challenges and put yourself up against hard things. And I'm just kind of curious, like for people that want to build that, what advice do you have from like where did it come from for you?
In short answer, yes, to the first part of that about building mental toughness. Like, yeah, resilience. This is the ultimate to me as far as in doing that. As far as in what simple thing can I do to really push myself in a very unique way. Cold exposure. The sauna is amazing. Yours is great, by the way. Contrast therapy is a great thing to do in combination of elements. Exercise is awesome. You know, endurance events, anything that pushes you to a place of discomfort, making you have to say, I don't like this, or I do, but it's hard, and I'm trying to get through it and having to tough something out. That's always great because you're talking about like hormetic stress or the state of hormesis, where when the right sense of tolerance is present, like done in a lot, or rather done in the right amount, it can be very beneficial to you. But in a little amount, it's kind of ineffective. And too much, maybe it can kill you. But finding just the right amount can be tremendously beneficial, whether it's, inducing specific hormonal reactions, like what this is doing right now. We've got a little bit of oxytocin, some serotonin, some epinephrine, norepinephrine, like this cool adrenaline-based hormonal cocktail. It's
Yeah.
making us feel good and really talkative, and at the same time we've got a lot of fight or flight going on, so we've got some activation of our nervous system, sympathetic, parasympathetic, autonomic, all kind of saying, hey, we know what's going on, but we don't like being here, but our minds are kind of taking over to keep us here, to say we're good, even though the body's saying we're not good because the body wants to self-preserve.
Sure.
So all that's happening right now. Otherwise, we'd have to kind of like go get in a car accident or be almost held up at gunpoint to like kind
Right.
of activate some of these things. So being able to
Right.
do them in a controlled manner is a really, really, really neat thing that we all have the ability to do. But with all those modalities I kind of listed, whether it's exercise or some type of other physical stress or endurance or even heat, nothing commands presence like this does,
Absolutely.
right? Like you've been in hot saunas, yours is hot. You've been in done hard things. You've done distance swimming, collegiate swimming even. You know what hard feels like to push your body past comfort levels.
Yeah.
Nothing, in my opinion, commands presence the way this does.
Yeah.
You and I can walk into the hottest sauna in the world. We can go into a sweat lodge and we could be joking and talking. I'm like, hey, Steven, this is a great time, da da da. And even we get in there, it's hot, but we're talking.
Yeah.
When it's time to do this, it's like, all right, I didn't get my own zone. I need to get my world. You need to get in your world. And like, maybe I'm talking to you and you're like, Jake, just shut up for a second. I need to focus because nothing commands presence the way this does.
And it's non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
Nobody's
The
above
water's
it.
not getting warmer.
Yeah.
You can't change it.
I
Like
do it every day.
you do it every day, and every time it's like,
Yep,
you
every
know,
time. And one of the things that I find just on the cold plunge topic that helps me, and so I share it with people to help them as well on the mental side of things when doing cold plunge, is that I'm of the belief that, I may have mentioned this to you, I'm of the belief that when anybody gets in cold water, our skin feels the same sensation. It sends that sensation, the cold receptors in our skin send that information to our brain, and all of us feel this sensation. And I think there's real importance to the meaning that you assign to that sensation, and it's your choice,
yep,
which is so cool. So you can say, man, I'm uncomfortable, this hurts, I want to get out, I can't do this. Or you're associating that feeling like I choose to do, where it's like, man, this is so refreshing. I mean, honestly, and I feel so alive.
yeah.
This is something that I freaking live for and love. I wanted to touch on something else that I find really fascinating about following your journey. And I know that you share some of this on Instagram as well, which is really kind of you to do. But tell me about the experiments that you do. I know you're an experimenter. You'll try something
Yeah.
and really push yourself. I know recently, you did the sardines challenge. You're doing a meat
gosh,
challenge,
yeah.
and you'll do blood work before and after, and really look at it. And it's such a service to people to get an N of one experience of what these different interventions do.
Yeah.
So I just thought it'd be fun for our audience if I could ask you,
Oh, sure.
what was one of the wilder experiments that you've done?
The sardine thing sucked for me because I hate sardines. I
Yeah.
always did. I was always. I'm starting to shiver now. I was always afraid of them, grossed out by them. So like eating sardines every day for 30 days was like. It started out originally I was going to try to just eat sardines for 30 days, but I got through like 5 or 6, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to eat sardines for 30 days with food. They're just going to be part of my plates, not just sardines themselves. It was tough, but I got through it.
That's nice.
One of the weirder ones I would say was eating only watermelon for 30 days. Like where I just ate watermelon, salt, and water, nothing else. I consumed nothing else. And I dry fasted every day for that 30 days. So, like, I had a 2-hour feeding window of the watermelon, and then the other 22 hours throughout the day, I dry fasted. So that was 30 days of dry fast with 30 days of nothing but watermelon, salt, and water. It was fun and interesting, and I ran some triathlons then. I still worked out full time, and I got my testosterone all the way up to 1,048 naturally, which is
Wow.
typically the range. Max is around 1,100,
Wow.
and I got mine up to almost that naturally. And people are like, that's crazy. Like watermelon can do that. I was like, no. Like testosterone, especially for men, has much more to do with how we exercise and lift as opposed to what we eat.
Yeah.
Diet is important, yes, but having the proper training stimulus is way more important. And people are like, well, how'd you do that over 30 days? Like, shouldn't you have declined and depreciated? Yes, over a longer period, it would inevitably catch up to you, but over that short amount of time, it's kind of a moot point because your training stimulus essentially can outrun the burn rate, but eventually
Yeah.
the burn rate will catch up and you'd have a decline. But 30 days of watermelon was really cool. 30 days of raw milk was pretty cool. It was fun too. But a lot of it, man, is about dispelling fear-based ignorance and ignorant-based fear, and also showing people the difference between misinformation and disinformation, And so, yeah, by that N of one kind of thing, saying like, look, I did it. I'm still alive. I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm just saying this is who I was before, how I was biometrically, and this is how I am now. And like, I'm still here.
Yeah. Well, we're both getting a really good shiver on.
Yeah.
And so I got one last question for you.
Yeah.
Really more of an open-ended opportunity for our audience. Given your experiences, even the things we've talked about, as we leave today, what is your reason for Freezin that you want to share with other people? Like just some encouraging thought or motivation that you might give to our audience.
Ooh, I was talking to my assistant this morning, and it's a great question, first of all. I'm glad you asked it. Talking to my assistant this morning, and I asked him if he could do something for me, like I always do. And he was like, what did he say exactly? He said, I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but I'll figure it out and get back to you. And I was like, it's the best answer you could ever give to anything.
That's great.
And I said, I'm gonna have to find a screenshot. I'll get it and I'll send it to you and I'll make sure it's in the video. But it says something like, that's what LLJ, that's the foundation of LLJ. So like the foundation of life, like Jake. I was like, what you just said is perfect. I was like, that is the attitude that is life, that you need in life, that I have, that I try to exude, try to impress to anyone, to everyone, about like everything you want to be able to do is possible. You just have to want to do it, have the curiosity and the desire. And for him to say that in such a simple sentence like that, I was like, dude, it was awesome. That's what started my day. So it was a great way to get
encouraging,
me
man.
fired up. Yeah. So to anybody else, just have the will and desire, and it'll take you and serve you ever.
It's awesome.
It'll serve you forever and take you anywhere.
All right, man. Well, it's time to get out.
Yeah, freezing for a reason. Thank
do
you.
it. Let's do it.
God. Holy yeah. That's a long one,
baby, up
dude.
top.
That's a long one for sure.